First running back forward is Alvin Kamara. He's been in the league for 4 years. Nothing statistically, but he's already a 4-time Pro Bowler. He's a 2-time first-team All-Pro. Actually, no. He's a 2-time All-Pro, both were second team. He was the NFL Rookie of the Year in, when was he drafted, 2017?
Wow. Troll would know. I don't follow the Saints religiously.
I mean, I can't do math very good. 2021 minus 4.
Yeah, 2017.
Okay. Yeah, he was the Rookie of the Year in 2017.
Okay.
What's his stats looking like?
He has currently 3340 for rushing yards with a 5 yards on average per carry. 326 receptions with 2824 in receiving yards. 629 return yards and 59 total TDs.
59 total TDs. That's not that bad.
No, I think there was a game. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. I think it was the year before. He got like 7.
Viking games when he had 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think was it 6 or 7?
It was 6. He tied the record.
Okay, that's right. I was hoping he would get 7, and they didn't give him the ball because the game was already in hand.
That was the only time I've ever rooted for a Saints player.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, when you see something that magical happening, it doesn't really matter what your affiliation, you follow it.
Hold on, like during week 2 when I was watching the Dallas Cowboys come back against the Falcons, that was like the only time I've ever cheered for them in my life.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's the Falcons, and who doesn't have a comeback against them? I mean, really. Freaking Falcons.
All right. Anyways, he's been in the league 4 years. He's already have almost 1,000 yards a year, almost.
Mm-hmm.
But where he really in that passing stat.
Yeah.
He is a very good yard after catch receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I mean, I'm willing to admit that. I love Alvin Kamara as a pass catcher. As a runner, he gets shut down almost every other game by a team that has a better front seven. I mean, you saw it with the Bucs. He barely had 50 yards in the first game, and he barely had 50 yards in the second game. It was in the passing attack that absolutely caught us off guard and killed us in our sleep.
I would hazard to say that also the loss of
Breezes.
No, what's his name? The other running back that was with him the first couple of years.
Mark Ingram?
Yes, there you go. Thank you. Frick. I knew that it started with an M. Anyway, the loss of him hampered his career as well because they had a really good 2-back set going, and then when you made him be the number 1, it kind of put a lot more pressure on him to take all of it, and then you didn't have that thunder and lightning to help clean things up.
All you had was thunder.
Yeah. Although they have that other running back who helped out a little bit with the 2-back set, but there was a downgrade from Mark Ingram in my opinion.
Yeah. Anyways, Hall of Fame or not, again, it's like how we have with Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
He's too young. He needs like another 10 years, or 5 in this case, since he's a running back, to at least even be considered for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would agree. But if he maintains the same level of performance that he's been having, 100% he will be first ballot. But there's so much varied things going on with this.
He's
so
a year not going to have Drew Brees force feeding him the ball each play.
Yeah, but
he's
then
have
again,
Jameis Winston down intercepted. You'd have to have Taysom Hill when he tucks it and fumbles.
Well, and that's my problem with this one is that like it all depends on your QB in this case, because if you don't have that good of one, then you're going to get the ball a lot more, so it'll be padding your stats. But at the same time, you need to have balance because you can't be a one-dimensional team.
At the same time, he's a pass-catching back.
That's fair.
He can rush, but as soon as he's a good rusher, but as soon as he faces a very good defensive line and linebacking core, he doesn't rush very good. again, with the Bucks in the first game of the year, he's only had 50 touchdowns or 50 yards.
Yeah, he had 50 touchdowns against the Bucks. Oh my God, Hall of Fame right now.
Shut up. It felt like that week 8. Okay, just give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, that's it for him. Too young, but if he keeps up like he is, and if everything pans out for him situation-wise.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Too soon to tell, but more than likely, yes.
Up next on the list, oh man, the biggest diva right now in the NFL, LeVeon Bell.
Blah.
He's been in the league 9 years. He's had 1 Super Bowl appearance. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time All-Pro, with 2 being first team. So, what's the stats looking like?
He's got a 64.53 for rushing yards, 4.2 yards on average, 394 receptions with 32.59 receiving yards, and 48 total TDs. So when you compare it to Kamara, who had a lot more touchdowns, and he's only 4 years in, I don't like it.
Nah.
No.
I mean, Kamara's done a lot more in 4 years than what Bell did in 9.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying before, typically you've got 10-ish years on a good running back, so LeVeon Bell doesn't have a whole lot of time left, and he's having a hard time finding a team willing to put up with his bull.
I can understand him wanting to leave the Jets, but he was holding out in Pittsburgh for money.
Yeah, and that I hate that.
I mean, he took the Jets for money. He knew they were a bad team, but he took them because of the contract.
Exactly.
And he moved on to
he chased the dollar instead of trying to pad his stats, which for me, I would rather be known as a good runner than be rich. So
exactly, he chased what will get him the most money or the most fame. He chased the money in New York. He chased the Super Bowl in Kansas City. He's still a fantastic pass catching back. You just got to get him the. I mean, he's still a great running back. It's just that he hasn't had a starting role or been on a good team in 3 years.
Which is his own fault for leaving Pittsburgh.
Own fault, but again, he's still a very good back. I mean, if he goes to a team like Buffalo, where they're maxed out, they just need a good running back to open up the passing game more, or to open up the running game more. He could succeed in there, but they don't. They don't in football there, so it's not going to happen. So, as for his Hall of Fame case, it's shot right at this point. He's not going to get in.
I think that he shot himself in the foot when he chased the almighty dollar instead of actually playing the game. And if he would have actually gone somewhere where he could have gotten the ball and actually done something, I think he would be a Hall of Fame running back. But his run style bothers me. The fact that he's a diva bothers me. What he did to Pittsburgh bothers me. I don't think he's going to get in either. If they have a very, 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 very weak class, then he might be within consideration. But no.
I was say, in that very, very, very weak. I think in that very, 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 very weak class, I think Mike Allstott would get in before him.
Yeah, I think.
If the class.
Yeah. There's a lot of players who should go in before him.
We're both agreed. He's not getting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we got Skittle Boy himself.
Skittles.
That was her joke, but that was her joke, not mine. Marshawn Lynch.
I love Skittles.
Leaders of. Yeah, Skittles are great.
The player
Marshawn Lynch. He's been in the league 15 years. He He has no MVPs and no Super Bowl MVPs, but he has 2 Super Bowl appearances with 1 win. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team All-Pro, a 2-time rushing touchdowns leader. He was on the 2010s All-Decade team. He's known the best play I can think of. Oh, this makes Saints fans cry. The Beast Wake. That's the one play I know. That's the first play that I think of when it comes to Marshawn Lynch. The Beast Wake.
Yeah.
Oh, Saints fans are crying that day.
He got the nickname of Beast Mode for a reason. So I mean, I call him Skittles because I think that's more charming, but he is Beast Mode 100%. The stats are fairly decent, all things considered with that. I wish he would have gotten a few more touchdowns to make that like an actual milestone, but he's got over 10,000 rushing yards with 4.2 on average.
I was about to say, he's also the 31st running back in NFL history to have over 10K rushing. So, continue on.
With a 4.2 on an average, 287 receptions with 22.14 in receiving yards, and 94 total touchdowns. I really wish...
He's still a free agent. He's still waiting for calls for teams.
I would love for him to go somewhere and get 6. Just get 6 and then retire. Because having 100 would be amazing.
100 touchdowns and then go. I mean, if he plays another full year, he will be a lock, like a complete lock. If he gets those touchdowns and he gets another 500 yards, it'll be a complete lock.
Yeah. I would dare to say that he's kind of a lock now, just because of what he's done for Seattle. And plus, I really liked him in Oakland just because he seemed to have so much fun.
I mean, he is called Beast Mode for a reason, as you said. Mm-hmm. He was one of the best running backs of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
He was one of the best running backs in the early 2010s. But if you ask me, I think he's hurting his legacy more the more years he stays in free agency. He might as well retire now and wait for that call in 10 years.
Yeah, I would say so, because you can't be eligible unless you're officially retired, right? So
yeah, like, you got to be retired completely from the NFL for at least 5. Like, you can't come back and be a coach. You can't come back and you can't be a coach, or you can't be another player. You can't be a coach or player, basically.
Yeah.
I know you can come back within the organization, like in the NFL organization, but you can't be a coach or a player.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
at least that's what I know. If I'm wrong, then I'm...
Yeah, someone can correct us down below, because I don't know. I know that there's a cap, but...
I'll say, I think you can be enshrined in the Hall of Fame as a player, and then come back and be a coach, I think. I don't know the rules, but I don't know if that was it.
It's hard to keep up with NFL rules to begin with. They're so jank anyway. But I would tend... Yeah, honestly. I would tend to agree with you that he's hurting his status by not playing or retiring. Like, he's just kind of there.
He's just sitting there with a fan-controlled league.
Yeah, he exists right now, rather than being, heralded as someone really good. He's just kind of existent. But that aside, I still think he's going to go in regardless because of being Beast Mode.
There's no denying the fact he's going to be going in the Hall of Fame. There's no denying it.
Yeah, 100%. And I really, you know what? I forgot that he was still a free agent somewhere. So I hope that he does sign something and gets an extra 6. Even if he only comes in when you're on the goal line, and that's the only time he's ever used. just get him 6 more.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy.
All right, we're moving on from running backs to now wide receivers.
Which is an interesting list. Troll.
Yeah, hold on. We got 4 receivers on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, do you just want to get the obvious one out of the way first?
No. Let's just go from the top down.
Okay. Starting off the top, we got Mr. Big Chest himself, Antonio Brown. Like, He's had 11 years in the league. He's had 2 Super Bowl appearances with 1 Super Bowl victory. Yes. He's a 5-time All-Pro with 4 first teams. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler. He was a 2-time receiving yards leader and a 2-time receptions leader.
He is a good player. He just crazy. So we have, for stats, 886 receptions with just under 12,000 yards. 122 rush yards for some reason. I don't know how that happened, but okay. And then just under 3,000 for return yards with 84 total TDs. So his touchdowns are top tier for this, based on this list.
I mean, no denying, he has the stats. He has the accolades needed to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's just that he's, especially with what happened off field.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what happened to Vic and how that really hurt his Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
His Hall of Fame. I mean, of course, the sexual, what was it?
Misconduct?
Yeah, the sexual harassment and misconduct stuff. Even though that got dropped, that still hurt him. That kept him out of the league for an entire year and half of the year this year.
Yeah, that's my thing. I don't like taking off the field issues or personality into account when we're discussing the whole stat line, but the fact that you missed so much playing time hurt your stats at the bottom line.
I mean, he's still in the Hall of Fame after what he did. So he murdered a couple guys. Ray Lewis questionably murdered a couple guys. If they're still in the Hall of Fame, why not? Why not these guys?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, shoot. But yeah, I think Antonio Brown will be a Hall of Famer. My comparison for him is Randy Moss.
That's a good comparison.
I mean, they're both have about egos the size of jetliners.
Yeah.
They were so about the game. They played their hearts out. Randy Moss may have never won a Super Bowl, but he's still one of the most prolific receivers of the last century.
I'll give you that.
I mean this century, not last century. So we're both agreed. So are we both agreed?
Yeah, I would say that he would get in. I think that he is going to have to thank Brady a lot.
He is going to have to kiss his ass for 5 years.
Yeah, because had Brady not wanted him in,
he would have been out on the curb.
Yeah, he'd still be sitting out and wouldn't even be in conversation. So, thank you to Brady.
You got the stats out in a half a year. How many yards did he get?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hold on. I know you got the complete list. In 2021, what were his receiving stats?
In 2021, I don't have the full list of it. I just have his career stats for the totals.
Okay. I'll say, I think he had over 500 yards in just half a year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm excited for next year to see like what they can do as a team, spreading the ball around with a full squad.
I was about to say, because the next guy on this list, he's also on that team. And I was about to say, we could have a tandem of 3,000 yards wide receivers plus one.
Yeah.
All right. Next on this list, we have my buddy, Mike Evans. Oh, I love this guy. 8 years in the league with 1 Super Bowl appearance and 1 Super Bowl win. He was a 1-time All-Pro, second team. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler. And he has an NFL record that I am just impressed with. He is the first receiver to start his career with 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons, breaking Randy Moss's record.
That is very impressive. I will admit to that.
I mean, I love this guy for what he did in Tampa and what he's still doing in Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
To me, he's a yearly Pro Bowl and All-Pro snub. To me, that's just basic fact. He is, even though he's always hurt, he still puts up 1,000-yard each season. It could be a hamstring injury. He could have blown out his lead like he did in Atlanta. He's still going to get 1,000 yards in a year.
Yeah, he's definitely comparable. Consistent and steady. He's got 532 career receptions for 82.66 in receiving yards with a 15.5 average on the reception. So he's kind of like a mid-tier threat, I would say.
Mid-tier?
Yeah, I mean, 15.5 receiving average. So he's not like the deep threat. At least not on that team.
I keep forgetting I can't be biased in this.
Yeah.
I'll say mid-tier.
You're the one who made the list.
I know I'm the one that made the list, okay?
And anyway, he's got 61 total touchdowns so far. So that's not bad.
He's not bad.
No, it's not Antonio Brown caliber as far as that's concerned, but he's not bad.
But the thing is, right now, other than one All-Pro, which was a second team in 2016, he does not have a whole lot of accolades.
Yeah.
Now, I credit that to being a shitty Tampa team for most of his career.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think he didn't get any accolades, because he is on a horrible, horrible team his first 5 years in the league.
Valid.
Completely awful. When you got Mike Glennon throwing you the ball and your team goes 2-14, that is an awful team.
Yeah, you're not going to go anywhere with Glennon.
Yeah. And then you're stuck with Crabboy Winston for the next 5. Of course you put up the yards because he's going to throw you the ball all the damn time.
True.
I mean, that's his one knock right now. Like, he doesn't have the accolades. But again, it's because he was on a horrible team. So, if he were to retire today, he would not be in the Hall of Fame. But give him another 5 years, he might make a good case.
Yeah, and again, he, much like Antonio Brown, is going to have to thank Brady, because without him giving him the ball, he wouldn't be getting any accolades. So,
exactly. He didn't get any accolades this year, so
yeah,
it might be even more dependent on whether he does well or not with Brady.
Mm-hmm. So I would say no, that he's not Hall of Fame caliber now, but it all depends on what he's going to be doing in the next few years coming up. Because you said he's, what, a 9-year veteran?
8.
8-year veteran, okay. Yeah, upcoming is going to be 9. So, yeah, the shelf life for him might be dwindling, so he's going to have to do something to boost those stats up in order to actually make it in.
Yeah. Why did I add this fucker to the list?
Because you can't be biased.
It's going to be very hard to not be biased about this fucker.
Just focus on the stats and wins, bruh.
Up next on this fucking... I can't even say it. We have Michael Thomas, or as I like to call him, Slant Boy.
Mm-hmm.
In the league. He's been in the league 6 years, no Super Bowls or playoff, or no Super Bowls or MVP. But he was the 2009 Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time All-Pro, both the first team, 3-time Pro Bowl. He was a 2-time reception leader, and he's held the record for most single-season receptions.
Mm-hmm. I remember that season. That was a good year for him, and he is a very crucial part of that whole composition.
It's like what we have with Alvin Kamara. It's because he's getting force-fed the ball on routes that are no more than 5 yards. I mean, I'll give him credit, a lot of yards, but I hate how he got them. I mean, he goes down the field, turns around, catches the ball for a 10-yard completion, and then books it.
I thought you said it was 5 yards and under.
He's a tight end playing the role of wide receiver. That's basically it.
I'm just letting it marinate so that Troll can have time to think.
Time to comment that I'm being biased right now. But I'm not wrong. I find it cheap. I find that way of getting all your yards a cheap way to get them. However, I do have one comparison for him in the Hall of Fame, and this is just based on his receptions. But I have Jerry Rice as his comparison, just based on the receptions alone. Because Jerry Rice, he leads the league in receptions. like a career reception. And I'll give credit to where credit's due. Michael Thomas, he has a way of getting the ball all the way downfield with just one shift of his movement. He has probably the best hands since Larry Legend came into the NFL. A lot of short routes. I still find it very cheap that he gets his yards from just short routes. You know, all the slants, all the curls, all the bubble screens.
20-yard
I still find that very cheap. But
it was a joke. Never mind, go ahead.
I didn't even hear you, to be honest.
I said 20-yard curls.
20-yard curls.
Mm-hmm.
No, 20 is what I consider. 20 yards is an intermediate route. Like, he runs. I mean, I showed you that video. That like his that based on his 2019 season. I showed you that video.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made me change my mind a little bit when it comes to him as a player. Are you not going to say anything, or you just want to let me keep going on, making Troll pissed?
I was content to let you continue, because you finally, you know, your mind got changed and all of that. But let's do the stats real quick. 510 receptions for 5950 in receiving yards and 32 TDs.
Not bad. That is not bad at all. This 510 receptions, he's going to be on pace to break that record in the next decade or so.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I based on that and that alone, I would say that he would go in just because he is a very integral part of that entire team composition. And I personally like chip away plays for football. I know that you're against it, but I'm of the adage of you don't have to go deep, and you know that's the whole point of having 4 downs. You know,
just freeze for a second. I'm not against chip away plays. I just think it's very cheap that he gets 1,700 yards just from the chip away plays. Just a 10-yard pass and yard after catch. I find that a very cheap way to get your yards.
But that makes him efficient.
It's efficient, yes, but I still find it very cheap.
Which is fair if that's how you want to do it, but I would say that efficiency over flash would be better.
Yeah, I know. Efficiency over being flashy. I know. I live my life by that purpose. You know, I get it. But at the same time, I think he should be a tight end, but the thing is he's a wide receiver playing he's a tight end playing wide receiver. That's just my view of it. But again, he's very good catching the ball. He's very shifty. Anything under 10 yards, he will catch it.
Which is very, very good. So he's always steady. And you have to at least give him credit for that. So, and personally, I find him to be better than the next guy.
Better than the next? Yeah, we both can agree on that.
Yeah.
So, I don't like Michael Thomas as a human being or a player, but his stats and his performance on the field really, it speaks for himself. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he will make a Hall of Fame.
Much like Alvin Kamara, if you're steady and you keep doing what you're doing, yes, 100%.
He's going into, I was about to say, then again, he's going to a season where he doesn't have Drew Brees throwing him the ball every play. He's going to have Jameis Winston chucking it downfield to somebody who can't run deep routes to save his life.
Which remains to be seen, considering it's going to be a completely different style of play, because Drew Brees was the chip-away style that I came to enjoy. So now that you're playing under a different style, we're going to have to see if he can go deep. Maybe he'll be able to do more than 20, in your opinion. And
yes, I'm operating on an assumption that Jameis Winston is going to be the starting quarterback, because he will be. There's no way Taysom Hill will be the starter.
God, I hope not. I don't like Winston either, but you know, that's why they.
Winston.
Well, of course you do. You have a horrible history with him.
Also, to all the Saints fans saying Jameis Winston's going to become the next Tom Brady, it's not going to happen. Especially under just 1 year being behind the trees.
Who dared to ever think Winston was going to be the next Tom Brady when he's already got all this time in of not being good? behind him.
This is Mikey Atlantic on an NFC South group I'm in on Facebook.
Oh, that's silly. That's
He's a troll, but so it's stupid. Anyways,
at least my troll's smart.
Yes. At least he knows to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, next up on the list, we got another retiree, Julian Edelman. Just saying that name. 12 years in the league. He has 1 Super Bowl MVP. He has 4 Super Bowl appearances with 3 Super Bowl wins. But here's the thing. He has no All-Pros. He has no Pro Bowls. He has no records. He's never led a league in any major receiving category.
Mm-hmm.
But he is well known for making the clutchest plays whenever he could.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at 3rd down and 10, you can chuck him downfield 20 yards, he'll come down with it. That little 5-yard hitch route where it's 4th and goal, you got 4 seconds left, he'll turn around and catch it. The thing I'm most known for would be the circus catch in Super Bowl 52, not in Super Bowl 51. For when he made that juggling catch, almost having it touch the ground versus the Falcons. That's the play I will always remember him for and love him for.
That's going a bit far with that L word on that one, but I would tend to agree. Julian.
Every time I see the Falcons, it's always going to be every time I see a player screw the Falcons over like that, I'm going to love him for it.
Again, makes sense. That's given the division. I understand that. Edelman to me is a situationally useful wide receiver, and I don't find anything particularly special about him. I think you could have replaced him with Danny Amendola full-time on that position, and it would have been the same production out of Brady, because any short, speedy white guy would have played a really good slot, and Julian Edelman just happened to fill that role.
Yeah, just look what happened with Scotty Miller this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I see what you mean, but I don't. Hold on, you got his stats.
Yeah, let's, because especially when you told me that he was a 12-year vet, I was perturbed. He's got 620 receptions for 68-22 receiving yards, 26-12 on return yards, and 40 touchdowns. So
12
only
years he got in 12 years.
40. That's what the
awful.
stat said exactly. So like when you compare it to other players of his caliber, air quotes, it's not that good. He's situationally useful, but he's not the guy that you go to. To be fair, though, when he got those, you had Gronk. So, like, he's not going to be the one you're going to go to.
Absolutely. He's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. I'll say that right now. Patriots fans might love him for what he did for the organization, but he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I hope to God not.
Put in like people like Santonio Holmes. Might as well put in people like him and Dolan once he retires. It's the same situation.
Yeah. There's so many people who deserve to go in there before he does, from back in the day, who played the same position.
Exactly.
So I adamantly say no.
He's getting in. Not at all.
No.
Not in 100 years he will get in.
Well, maybe posthumously.
Posthumously, maybe.
Yeah.
Once he dies.
God, we're so mean. Which yes, that's what posthumously means.
Only tight end on this list.
Which I was thinking about that. Can I have an honorable mention for this thing once we're done with him?
If you say Rob.
No.
I swear.
No.
I'll say he's not the lock. You can't mention locks.
No, I'm not going to mention him.
But you can have have your honorable mention.
Okay, thank you. But first, him.
All right. We got Jimmy Graham. Years in the league, he has 11. He has no Super Bowls or MVPs, but he's a 5-time Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 2-time All-Pro, with one of them being first team. And he was the NFL receiving touchdowns leader in 2013.
Which is not bad for a tight end. And of course, he wouldn't be having the whole MVPs because tight end isn't really the
unless you have a year which sees you going above 3,000 yards and you're a freaking tight end, you ain't getting MVP.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to give that position the kind of accolades.
Running back or quarterback.
Yeah, typically. But his stats are decent. He's got 699 receptions. He really needs at least one more on this one because it's triggering me. 83-39 for receiving yards, and then 82 TDs.
That's not that bad either.
That's pretty darn good for, 11 years? And apparently he signed with the Bears, which immediately makes me like, but why though? So, okay.
Automatically, whenever I hear this, I think of Mike Ditka. Like, automatically, in the Hall of Fame comparison, I think of Mike Ditka for Jimmy Graham.
Mm. Which is ironic that he then went to go play for the Bears. So
exactly. Anyways, as for a Hall of Fame pick, right now, it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to have he needs to have at least 2 or 3 more years of at least having at least 500 yards and 3 touchdowns, at least for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Then he'll solidify it.
I'll give you that. But the thing with that, too, is it also depends on your team composition. And if he stays with the Bears, which I doubt he will, it all depends on where you're at.
I mean, he's with them this year, right?
With who?
Then, yeah, he's going to either have Andy Dalton or Justin Fields throwing him the ball this year.
Yeah, and I believe that they're starting Andy Dalton, which makes me happy.
They are starting Andy Dalton. There's no question about that.
Yeah, which I'm happy with that. Good.
I don't trust Fields at all just because of the college he came from.
Mm.
I'll say Ohio State, that is not a quarterback factory. That is a dud factory.
I typically don't really trust rookie QBs right out the gate anyway, because there's always going to be some need for time to grow. You're rarely going to be able to go lights out immediately.
Unless you're that good, which I hope some of these QBs are. Trevor Lawrence.
We'll have to see. Part of me hopes for a bust, but anyway, my honorable mention before we move on to the next one. What do you think about Greg Olsen?
Greg Olsen, he is not going in the Hall of Fame as much as I like the guy.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was at as well. I think that he would be similar to Jimmy Graham for the whole conversation aspect of it, but again, finding a tight end that's going to go into the Hall is really kind of hard for this.
You're not getting the Hall of Fame as a tight end.
That's big sad.